What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. I'm gonna warn you now. I'm not going to talk about this too much in detail on YouTube. I'm going to talk about this on my Patreon. For those of you who are subscribed to my Patreon, a video will be coming very soon about this situation. But YouTube, to me, the language that I'm going to use talking about this situation, it's not the appropriate platform. So for those of you who are subscribed to my Patreon, I'll be talking about this on both the two. It'll be available to the $2 and $5 tier. But I'm also going to warn you, come up in this video, in the comment section, trying to cap for that police officer. Well, big bro, you got to look at it like this. Well, OG, look at it like this. I'm going to block you. I'm usually a very tolerant dude when it comes to different opinions about issues. But if you look at that video and you come to some conclusion that somehow this was all her fault or she was at fault, I'm going to block you. And I don't want you to come back to my channel. I'm going to know what time you're on. So if you're not familiar with this situation, this woman pictured here was 36-year-old Sonya Massey. And this was an Illinois woman who lived, I believe, in a county called Sangamon County. And she called police on the night of July 6th after Massey reported a possible prowler at her home. Actually, I see now she lived in Springfield, Illinois. So she called police, a 911 call, because she saw a prowler. And there is some footage that seems to support her allegations that there was a prowler outside. Now, there is a lot of edited footage that's available at this particular time. And I saw the unedited footage, although it was censored when the footage showed her remains on the floor. But you could still see certain images. You could still see what appeared to be pools of blood gushing from her head wound. So in the footage, Deputy Sean Grayson, who was the man I believe that shot her, and another deputy spoke calmly with Massey in her home when she goes to the stove. So let me read the article. She goes to the stove to turn off a pot of boiling water. She then picks up the pot, and the other deputy steps back away from your hot steaming water. She says, "Rebuke you in the name of Jesus." The deputy says, "Huh? I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Then the officer says, "You better effing not, or I swear to God, I'll effing shoot you in the effing face." He then draws her firearm and points it at her. She ducks and says, "I'm sorry," while lifting the pot. The video shows, "Drop the effing pot." 3 shots are heard. After a few seconds of silence, one deputy says, "Shot fired," and calls for emergency medical services. Dude, I'm not taking effing boiling water to the effing head. And look, it came right to our feet, too. Minutes after the shooting, Grayson speaks to another law enforcement figure. "She had boiling water and came at me with boiling water. She said she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came at me with boiling water." First of all, if you see the video, a lot of everything that he's saying is not true. Okay, matter of fact, I'm gonna make this my censored version, and then I'll do an edited version on Patreon. First of all, the thing that struck me was they did a perimeter check of the house to see if there was anybody on her property. They didn't see anybody. That should have been it right then. Maybe get her name for a report, and that's it. But for some reason, these cops were itching, especially Grayson, was itching to get inside that house. Then they questioned her as to whose car it is on her property. Then they asked, can they come inside? Which I don't understand why they needed to come inside. Then they asked her for an ID. They just asked her for all this unnecessary stuff. Then one of the police officers tell her to turn the water off because it was boiling. I think she was making tea. So she goes over and turns the stove off. And I think what she was going to do is put cold water in the boiling water, right? So then all of a sudden, the cop says, one of the police officers says something about, you better watch it with that boiling water. Now, mind you, if you look at the video, there's a counter or something separating the officer and Massey. And she's by the sink near the stove. And I would assume she's like maybe 13 or I would say like 13 feet away, maybe a little bit further away from that than that. No, I would say maybe 15 feet or more away. I would go with that. Plus, this is a small woman. She looks like she's at best 5'5", 5'6", maybe 140 pounds. Okay. When they say watch it with the water as if she's going to throw it on them, she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. She's really saying, why would you think I would do something like that? That's what she meant. I'll rebuke you with the name of Jesus. I'll rebuke you in the name of Jesus. When they drew their guns on her and said, drop the pot of water. First of all, it's scalding water. How's she going to drop a pot of water? So I think she's kind of like startled. And then she says, I'm sorry. Drop the pot. And then they shoot her. I mean, first of all, she's getting in a defensive position because you got a gun drawn at her. So she's drawn up. So, of course, the pot is going to spill somewhat because she's getting in a defense. I don't understand some of these people. Like, what are you looking at? And then anyway, even if she was going to throw a pot of water on her, you're going to shoot her in the goddamn face? So he blows her away. And then they deny the one cop that shot her basically told the other cop to delay or not give medical aid, basically hoping that she succumbs. And then the cop that shot her didn't have his camera on. And then afterwards, I couldn't stomach listening anymore to the video, but apparently from what I gathered, or watching and listening anymore to the video, but from what I gather after that, you know, he exaggerates. She came at me with a pot of water, which is a lie. Then all of a sudden, you know, he didn't show any remorse for what he did, making it like as if he's the victim. This dude's he's a piece of shit, man. I tried to curse these things, but he's a piece of you know what, okay? The guy, I think this was his 5th job in 2 years, 2 DUIs. But of course, what people are going to do now, what the racists are going to do, is they're going to try to comb Massey's background and find something. They're going to try to find something. Oh, well, see, in 11th grade, she got suspended for smoking pot. So this woman ain't no innocent victim. Or Jesse Peterson. You're trying to make it like she's some innocent victim tiptoeing through the tulips. Ain't that right, boss? Meanwhile, they're going to conveniently ignore the cops' record. So he was fired because he couldn't, and nobody could justify what he did. And he was convicted. And I hope he gets an extremely lengthy prison sentence. But you know, it's going to be people who are going to try to defend what he did. And I saw it. I saw it, man. And at the end of the day, like I said, if you come in my comment section defending that police officer, I'm blocking you. I'm blocking you. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm blocking you. I hope that her family gets justice. I hope that the family gets compensation. Nothing is going to bring their daughter back. No amount of money can be enough to bring that woman's life back, who was snuffed out for no reason whatsoever, except for the fact that those cops were dumb as bricks, rocks in their head. If they knew what the hell rebuke meant, if they knew anything about that phrase, they would have known that she was joking. But because people like them see us as constant threats, now you want to know, now you wonder. If you wonder why, excuse me, I should say, this is why a woman like her gets gunned down in her own home by a bunch of thug cops, but that shooter was able to get those shots off. All you people talking about, it was staged. Part of the reason why he got them shots off is because people like him and Dylan Roof and others, they get to live, they get to breathe, they get to return fire. Only when there's mortal danger at the behest of the so-called good guys, do they finally reluctantly put those guys down. They don't really want to do it. But with us, it could be a toy gun. You could be eating ice cream in your own home. You could be sleeping in your bed. You could be going for a jog. Jogging. You can be coming from the store with a pack of Skittles and tea. And somehow, some way, these racists will manipulate that and somehow you deserve what you got. And then you wonder why people like us have to scream from the hills, Black Lives Matter.